So what's on the Oklahoma Guru's mind today? Well, I figured I'd start helping you understand how I became a Latter-day Saint. For one, I was baptized into the church when I was 9 and fell away pretty much immediately after. So it wasn't a lot that I had to desire about the church. Now, I eventually found some friends and they kept me tied into it until I was about 17, and then everybody that was my friend or somebody I could look up to, they left and found their own lives, and here I was, pretty much had one friend and not really a lot of motivation to go back, and the fact that my family had my great aunt and great uncle had decided not to go anymore. That kind of helped me escape what I thought was restrictive life. So I pretty much fell away, and but there was a occasion when I went into the military and being in boot camp, they said, "Hey, you can go to church on Sundays." Well, it's either boot camp or stay in your dorm all day, and so I chose church. The first church that we were allowed to go to was a very charismatic church. It was pretty nice, fun, but I wasn't carried away in the same kind of worship they were, but it was good. But then the week after, opened to us to go to our own faith, which mine was what I called Mormon at the time. I never referred to that to the church as being Mormon anymore. It's the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. But I went for some time. There was a friend of mine that went with me, and then we were able to have a little bit of time away from church, where we didn't have to go to church. Our Sundays were free to us. So being 18 years old, I figured, well, go play video games and go just do whatever came natural to the natural man. And that's what I did for pretty much up till I was 33. But, a few times in between the age of 17 to 33, I went back and tried. But I never really had anything to keep me locked in. But I did meet my first wife through that process, and just as we got married, we dropped out of the church and pretty much stayed away from it from when I was about 24 to about 33. I was so honest. And then at the age of 33, who's my ex now, she said, "I want to go back to church." And I figured, well, okay, fine, we can go, but I didn't really have any cause to think that this wouldn't be a failed attempt again to get religion in our life. But I went. And then things started to change a little bit. Not in the household so much, but something that I was doing at that time that I never done before. I started talking to people about the religion and of course the people that I was talking to pretty much anti-Mormon. They told me everything that they could to tell me how bad the religion was. And even at that, one of my friends gave me a tape of Walter Martin, who, if you listen to my other YouTube videos, you'd understand who Walter Martin was. And so I listened to that for 6 months at least, over and over. Now I listen to other people that testified of the truth of the church, but I was listening to every TV evangelist, radio evangelist, the Shepherd's Chapel. I was so deeply involved, and I would come home and watch the BYU channel all the time, and it just consumed me. But I'll tell you one thing that really happened in my life when it uh, to really get locked in. There's a song out there. It's called the Hedgehog Song by the Incredible String Band, and they again the song has a verse in there, and I'll read it to you. I got to look away from the camera for a moment. It says, "Oh, you know all the words, and you sung all the notes, but you never quite learned the song she sang. I could tell by the sadness in your eyes that you never quite learned the song." Well, that's quite interesting because one of the things that I fell in love with as I was going through the process early on in religion when I came back was I started to really fall in love with the music that was spiritual. And that line there, that it reminded me that that's how you really fall in love with the Father, with Father in heaven, is you fall in love with the music that He loves, and it becomes such a moving force in your life. Music can do wonders in your life, but it also can tear you down. But that was, and I listened to, before then, I was listening to all the raunchiest stuff that I could find. I played as loud as I could to get some kind of reaction out of people, and and it was just a bunch of, it was just for shock value is why I listened to it. But I'll tell you, whenever I started listening to spiritual music, it really changed me. It truly got me focused in on what truly was love and the positive effect that something could have over your life. So that was probably the main thing I changed in my life was the music. I learned the songs that my Father in heaven really loved. There's a quote in the scriptures that says that the angels were in the attitude of singing to their God. And I believe that our Father in heaven truly loves to hear the sound of angels singing. And so with that, it helped me get my mind and heart in the right direction. And spiritually, I was being moved. There was an occasion that a long time ago when I was barely getting into the church that I was debating somebody online. This was at least 20 years ago. And the debate came, the person I was debating came up with this idea that Joseph Smith created tithing because he wanted to gain more money and to gain more power. And so it didn't really rattle my faith at the time, but it did. I wanted to answer the question. I was one of them guys. I'm still competitive. I'm very competitive. So somebody told me something, and I wanted to know the answer. Well, eventually one night, I worked swing shift, and after I got done working, I clocked out. I'd come back to the shop that was empty. I'd go into a room and I would pray. And I do this every night. Well, this night in particular, I was praying, and of course, I was asking the question about the tithing thing. And see, I hadn't read the Bible. I was reading the Bible at the time, but I hadn't really got into it to the point where I could quote verses and all that, or remember where things were mostly. But sure enough, while I was praying, Acts chapter 5 came into my head, and I'll make sure that I put the verse up there, the chapter up there a little bit, so you can understand what I was reading. Somebody always wanted to interrupt me, but anyway, back to the story. Like I said, I had prayed in that room, and I was praying specifically to answer this question about tithing. And the what came into my mind was read Acts chapter 5. So that was at the place where I worked. So I wrote it on the back of my hand after I finished my prayer. And then when I got home, I read the chapter. Well, I would have never known this, but this is where Ananias and his wife fell dead at the feet of Peter because they had lied to him about how much they had received from the farm that they had sold, because they were supposed to give all that they had to the church. Now you could say that it was because they lied, but it was also, you could say, well, they didn't pay their full tithes, or they had covenanted or promised God that they would do what they said they were going to do, and they died from lying about to God. So again, if you can play it however you want, but the fact is, I made a promise to my God when I was 9 years old that I'd pay my tithing. That's how I'd stay worthy. So it made an impact on my life, and this was a doctrine that we teach in the church. So guess what? It kind of helped me to say that at least that part of the gospel is right. And there's a lot more. I'm going to edit this film and go ahead and drop it in, but I got a lot more stories. For the last 21 years, this has been how it's been in my life. I receive revelation all the time, and it's always proven by a event that is completely it's amazing. I'll let you know. You'll understand what I'm talking about. But this been a good time talking to y'all. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I hope it helps you see where I'm coming from when it comes to the gospel of Jesus Christ and why I believe what I believe. But this is the Oklahoma Guru signing out. I hope if you get a chance, comment, drop me a line. If you like this, just hit the button. If you want, share and subscribe. Well, you guys have a great day. Been good talking to you. It's the Oklahoma Guru signing out.